3 stacks in this thing, and today we're going over my 5th place Herald Perfection Ties build. So I decided to take the build today, test it out. Now we've got 5th place. Not too shabby. I am kind of sad because, you know, it's not first, which my goal, honestly, every time I go is to get first place. I try my best to. But nonetheless, we did really good today. We only lost one game, and it was pretty sad how we lost it. You know, we lost by 50 life points. Blah, blah. It's a sad story behind it. But anyways, deck list is insane. It's on fire. I pretty much just tweaked it even more, and the stuff that I wanted to get for it, I got it. So it's, you know, it's pretty much, this is where I want it to be. So starting off with the main deck, we got 3 Herald. You know, he's the man. Just have to have him. Goes for me, no ulti. He's just clutch. I like the idea that, you know, he just pretty much says, this is what you can and can't do. And 2 of her, I'm running my pom-pom girl at 2. Decreasing the chance of potential break hands. Running her at 3, it is clutch because, you know, you'll draw her more often, but drawing her more often is not always going to be ideal because sometimes you'll have those hands where you'll draw her and no way to use her. So that's why I have her at 2, whereas she's still searchable. So it's better that you search her versus, you know, running her at 3 where you'll just hard draw her. Sometimes you don't want her, versus running her at 2 where, you know, you'll draw her less and you'll have a chance to search her first. So to decrease the chance of a potential break altogether. And that's it for the blue cards, only 5. And then 3 staff, 3 throne. It's a clutch combo. This is like one of the best stacks in the game. It's just so good. When you're down and out and you just, yeah, come out of nowhere with this. It's crazy. But yeah, very, very broken combo. This is how I broke a lot of established boards with such ease. Sometimes I was able to make this combo pop off without even using my normal summon through my Ritual Sanctuary. Which was actually clutch because I was able to just net free cards and bait all back rows, still make my plays. And like I said, the stick chair play was free, so even if you would have answered to it, it would have just been a bait for him. Moving on, 2 copies of Handy Manny because he's just too clutch. Don't want to run him at any more than 2. The reason being is because I actually teched in another monster instead of Manju, which basically replaces what would have been the 3rd Manju is the Cloudian. But we'll get there when we get there. Anyways. Moving on to Honest, because we are playing the Ties build, so we kind of have to have Honest in tandem with this guy. This is just, well, no, I'm sorry. This is not just GG because there was a game today when I was playing True King Dinos where he saw him strike my Honest during damage step and completely got rid of my my statue. But he effectively sacrificed an entire turn just so that he can be able to, you know, set up next turn. So he was playing a turn behind, and I was pretty much well established. And the board that I had, it was like a laughing matter because I had 7, no, I'm sorry, not 7. I had 6 cards in hand. I negated like 3 of his plays, so I was down to like 3 cards. But I saved a play in my hand, so I knew next turn, even if he out of my board, that I was going to be able to go Herald Stick Chair again. So basically, it's like, it didn't even like affect me, even though he was effectively able to out the board. Like, I just already had it, and I knew I did. But yeah, that did come up where this actually, you know, I was able to like lose this board. That was the first time like this guy actually got outed today. All my other games today, this guy was just the sack. He was the number 1 sack. It's just like GG, no re, no lie. I didn't play any decks that actually could, you know, special summon under him. Luckily, no Blue Eyes, no ABCs, you know, no Light Sworns. And nobody actually like Kaiju'd me. Nobody sticky string, not sticky stringed, the Lightning Strike or the Thunder King one. Nobody had those, so lucky me. Just for today, but who knows, you know, it may come up. But yeah, just this guy alone just honestly just wins games. Even if you don't have Honest, like Zodiacs, they have a hard time with this guy. So yeah, and finishing with the last one of sacks. So basically, like, both of these guys are sacks. If you have either one of these guys, it's a crazy potential play. This is for your Ties play. This is for your Instant Fusion play. So it also gives you alternative options for your play. So for example, you don't always have to go Herald Stick Chair anymore. Now you have the option where you can go like Herald Barrier Statue, or you can go like, you know, Herald Barrier Statue Ties of Brethren, or you can go like Herald, Cloudian, Instant Fusion, Bahamut Shark, Totally Awesome, Herald Perfection first turn. So these guys effectively give you 2 different summoning mechanics, you can say like that, 2 separate plays. Where if you're down and out, you either got debarriered, no ritual this turn, or you don't have the resources to make Herald. At least you can make these plays for the time being, and they will suffice. But yeah, just the one of, I wanted to run him at 2, but effectively I was drawing him too much, ironic enough, even when I was running at 2. So I decided to just put him in as 1, and he comes up. I didn't want the deck to be solely focused on trying to pull out Bahamut Shark Totally Awesome, because that build actually led into potential break hands where I was always drawing Instant Fusion too much. So I decided to just put him in as a 1-up. 1-ups get drawn like crazy in this deck, and when he comes up, he's clutch. He's very, very powerful. and he's definitely just something that like he catches people off guard. Like my game, my round 4 when I was playing against Zodiac True King Dinosaurs, which was a crazy, like just a crazy deck. This guy actually came up like in the middle of the game. Like I didn't even expect to draw him. Honestly, I wasn't worried about him, wasn't thinking about him. Had an instant fusion, and I was just thinking, you know, as soon as if I can just get any light fairy, you know, in my hand, I could just play the instant fusion, go into my cheer girl, ritual sanctuary, stick chair combo, bam bam. I ended up drawing him instead, and I was mad at first, but then I said I'm stupid. I have instant fusion. So Bahamut Shark totally awesome, and that actually got me pretty much where I needed to get so I could push for game. So I like this guy a lot, but yeah. Effectively, it's supposed to be a sack. So think of this like your soul charge, your upstart. It's here because you want to be able to play it, but the deck is not focused on it. So if you do not draw it, it doesn't hurt you. And if you do draw it, it doesn't hurt you either, because this guy is actually more effective in your hand than like Hymn of Light, Zafira, what's her name, Benton, or even Natasha. This guy, you can actually normal summon him, and he's 1300, which playing against Zodiacs, that's pretty clutch. He's at 1300, so they have to use Throw-Blade to get over him, or double up the Whiptails. Or, you know, basically just sacrifice their whole monster, kill it, and then Whiptail banish it at the end. But anyways, he's at 1300, and he can't be destroyed by battle. So this guy effectively, he walls up, so you can, you know, wall up, save yourself a turn, and next turn, you'll have a free rank 4 play. And if you have your Ritual Sanctuary, you have like a double rank 4 play without normal summoning. So it's really clutch. That's it for the monsters. 17 fairies. It's enough, especially because you're searching everything. And the only thing that you don't even have to run, honestly, well, you don't have to run any of these, but this is the only guy that's just optional. He was optional for me, and I was debating on not playing him at all today, but he was just such a clutch card. And every time I drew him, I was just like happy. He was either like, you know, I drew him, I didn't have instant fusion, and I was still happy because I'm like, you know what, this guy's actually gonna be a potential staller for me, and just in case, you know, I get down and out and ran out of resources. And then there are also those times where you actually had the instant fusion, and it was like you discarded him with Herald Perfection to negate. The next turn, you know, instant ramen, Bahamut Shark, Toad, crazy. But yeah, anyways, moving on with the spells. So we've got the Prep Brigade, pretty much just your generic pluses. This can plus harder than pre-prep, and it actually has more versatile targets, and it's just more versatile to use, and it's not once per turn. So prep is at 1 for a reason, obviously. In tandem with that, we actually have 3 copies of Desires. I debated with myself for a very long time. 2 was effective, and now my theory was I wanted to run 3 of every single card that I want to see opening hand. And I'm not gonna lie, I do like desiring opening. I just like the idea of opening with Desires and, you know, pluses, and then going Stick Chair or Bros, taking a card from my opponent, having him start at a neg and I start on a plus. I like that. So that's the idea with the pot. Like I want it every first turn so I can start basically already ahead of my opponent as far as advantage. So yeah, 3 of that, and then in tandem with that, we also have 3 copies of the Foolish Burial Goods. Now this effectively is just an upstart. All you do is just keep sending your Metal Force Fusion from your deck to your grave, and just keep putting it back, and just keep, you know, doing the combo over and over and over again. It also has helped me, like even today, where I actually needed extra spells. I had 4 spells, and I could have summoned, you know, level 4, but that wasn't what I was trying to do. I was trying to revive Herald. Because if I was able to revive him in my mind, I'm like, if I can revive him, I'm going to get game. I was able to revive him because of this spell, but unfortunately, Herald got kaiju'd again, so I was pretty pissed. But yeah, anyways. So moving on. We've got 3 Ties of the Brethren. This is a staple 3-up for me. Effectively, these all kind of are similar to what Upstart is, because these are all cards, like, if you draw them, they lead to other cards. This is like 3 extra Upstarts. Desires is like Upstart on steroids. You know, it gets you 2 cards. Pre-prep gets you a free 2 cards. It's kind of like essentially like this one card is like a double upstart. It's like 1 card takes 2 cards out your deck. Same thing. So basically, that's my concept in theory on all these spells. Is they're all pluses. They're all generic pluses, and they're all kind of just like upstarts. They're basically just cards that help me get to my key synergy combo pieces. And the same with Ties of the Brethren. This effectively is 3 extra copies of Honest, or even your Star Seraph Sovereignty. Because if you play this Summon Scepter, you're going to get a search off of Sovereignty. So this effectively turns any of your level 4 fairies into the Stick Chair combo anyways. So you've got this as a method to get into Stick Chair. You know, you can hard draw the Stick Chair, draw Stick Chair in your hand. You can Herald a Perfection Stick Chair. There's too many different ways for you to Stick Chair now. Like, you should be able to resolve it like every single time, regardless of whatever's going on with them. But yeah, I like it a lot, and it can actually be a +1, especially when you like when you normal summon the Berry statue and just play this and then net the Honest and, you know, get Scepter. So you basically net 2 fairies, which is potentially 2 free negates in addition to already having a barrier statue. So it can be more than a +1 at times, but it's definitely just a +1 at minimum for me, because that's how I like to play. Most of the time, you know, I just get 2 fairies from my hand, from my deck to my hand directly out for this spell. So it's effectively like a Rhoda as well as, you know, just being an instant lockdown. No Yu-Gi-Oh for you, yes Yu-Gi-Oh for me. I like it a lot. So yeah, just a lot of 3-ofs. They're very, very important, and these are all cards I want to see in my opening hand. So I understand that they're actually, all of these are hard once per turn. You can only activate these, all of these once per turn. So we're running a bunch of 3-ofs that are all once per turn, but the idea is you only want to see realistically one in your opening hand. If you see more than one, it doesn't matter. The idea is if you see at least one, you're happy because this is what I want anyways. And then moving on, we got 3 copies of Las Vegas because it's just too clutch. This gives me game too much, way too much. And it also was a potential bait because I had a Mirror Force and I activated this, and this took the Twin Twister, and he took a potential neg because I set my Mirror Force. So basically, if he would have in-phase Twin Twisted me, he probably would have, you know, got me there, but he basically took a potential neg fuzz. This was effectively a bait. I actually didn't have enough combo pieces to make Herald. I was just going to play it, ditch a spell, and search for Benton, and just, you know, pray to God for a top deck pre-prep. So this was just a bait, and then it got rid of Twin Twisters. I was able to set my Quaking and then go off with that. So this saved my life, and it helped me get to my top place. And then moving on with 2 Optimus Prime. It's just really, really good. I don't want 3. It's just enough. This effectively is an extra copy of Herald. It's an extra copy of Benton. It's extra copies of Stick Chair because this leads into the cards that lead into them. Searchers, search for searchers that get searched by other searchers. That's the idea of this deck. It's Necros on steroids, Necros 2.0. And yeah, this definitely is the most perfected and consistent list that I can come up with. Up to date. I have a bunch of lists that do a bunch of other stuff and kind of are able to basically explode, go off, kind of like, you know, just spam special summon like crazy. But this list is actually the most consistent, and it means that I'm like always opening like Herald ties like all the time. And then moving on, so these are pretty much all just engine spells. You know, you've got your Optimus Prime searching, Ritual Sanctuary effectively is a searcher and a Monster Reborn. And, you know, it puts all your spells back so you can keep playing Raigeki, keep killing them, you know, keep upstarting, do what you got to do, keep prepping. And, yeah, even the Foolish Burial Goods. So, essentially, I look at the Foolish Burial Goods kind of like a Brilliant Fusion engine. So, theorize with me for a second, because I know some people might think my logic sounds crazy and say, this is bricky. This is the same exact idea of the Brilliant Fusion combo. 3 Brilliant Fusions and 1 Garnet. And, you know, of course, whatever target is in your main deck, the Light Monster, that doesn't count because it's probably a monster you're already originally running. So think of this like 3 Brilliant Fusions and the 1 Garnet. So this is the 1 Garnet that's a potential break. If you draw it into your hand, you still effectively can discard it if you have Ritual Sanctuary or Terraforming. It'll instantly become a plus. So even if you draw it, you can still get rid of it. But we want to keep this in main deck so that we can, you know, Foolish Burial Goods. Originally, Foolish Burial Goods in my other build was at 1. And I decided to bump it up to 2 because I was playing it simply for this spell. And I thought to myself, I'm playing a 1-of to be able to get to a 1-of. There's a 50-50 chance of me drawing this before I draw this. This effectively becomes dead. So I was like, you know what, let's play 3 copies of this, 1 of this. That way, every turn you're able to just upstart, generic, net a free plus, play it, leave it in grave, resolve your Pot of Desires first, get your +2, get your +1, then activate this, put it back in the grave. That's why, another reason why I like Foolish Burial Goods, because I mean, it lets me just ditch my Metal Force Fusion directly from my deck first, so that I can resolve my desires knowing that I'm not going to banish my Metal Force Fusions and I won't draw dead Foolish Burial Goods. So, you know, play this, dump your Metal Force, then resolve your desires, draw your 2 cards, then put this back to your deck, draw another card. Really good. I like it a lot, but yeah. So everything is at 3 that I want to see, and it's just all consistent engine cards. These are all great cards. If you have any of these 1 cards, any of these blue cards, just 1 of them in your hand, you're golden. And now moving on, of course, we've got 3 Don. It's just a generic. You have to play it. It's really clutch. Gets you free advantage. And it also lets you actually play around Solemn Strike. Because Benton's effect, of course, can be Solemn Strike. And there are scenarios, like there was a scenario that came up like, it was a while ago when I was playing against my homeboy, his invoked Blue Eyes. His Crystal Wing was a very, very huge problem for me, and I was trying to get over it with my Honest. And so when I played my Donna the Herald to summon Herald, I actually set up as Benton as Chainlink 1 and Don as Chainlink 2 That way he couldn't negate Don because it's a spell, and then Ben 10 will be safe. So I search my Honest, you know, damage step, Honest, Crystal Wing attempts to negate, Herald negates. I had like 4 fairies in hand, but I killed that Crystal Wing. And so yeah, I like this also. After that day, I realized that this is even more broken of a spell than I thought it was. I always looked at it like it's a ritual spell that lets you play it for free. But it also lets you potentially dodge Solemn Strikes and stuff that would negate your Benton, because Benton is very important. Key crucial for your plays. 2 instant ramen. This is just so clutch. It's a side card, honestly. It's just like Upstart. Once you play it, it naturally becomes a draw for either Cheer Girl, Emerald, Stick Chair, or it's in even just a 1-card Utopia Lightning, which this is effectively an out, especially going second, like they make this massive board. And it also helped me today to make Invoke Raijin, which actually got me game going into time. So Instant Fusion is definitely just like, I kind of just look at it like it's a sack. It's just so good. And then the 1 Upstart, it's not a 40-card deck, but we still play Upstart. Now, here's my reason, and I'll tell you guys this so that way we don't have to argue in the future. Herald of Perfection requires spells that can be played generically without the requirement of another card. So the only thing that does not meet the criteria of that exception is Malifaux's Fusion. This is a spell where you have to have, you know, a way to basically send it to the graveyard. But other than that, the vast majority of my spells are stuff that I can play as soon as I draw it. The reason why you want spells that you can instantly play the second you draw it is because when you're running with your Ritual Sanctuary and you're trying to load your grave up for spells for, you know, a revival play like bring back Scepter or bring back Herald, you want to draw spells like this where you like play Instant Fusion, go to Cheer Girl, draw to an Upstart, then play Upstart, draw another spell, play that, and then boom, you got 4 spells right there, and then Stick Chair, go off. So I like spells like Upstart, even though it's not a 40-card deck. This list is actually 42 cards. But think of it this way: you have Upstart, you have Malifaux's Fusion, you have your 3 Foolish Burial Goods, you have your 3 Pot of Desires, you have your, you know, your preps. You have all these cards that effectively are just becoming different cards as soon as they get to your hand. Even Terraforming, it's kind of like an Upstart to me. It doesn't let you draw, but Terraforming instantly becomes another card. So it's basically just like empty space in your deck. So I like it a lot. The theory, it was well put together, and me and my teammates, like, at the end of the day, this is what we came up with, and this is what we decided worked the best. So potentially this is actually a 32-card deck, which if you think of it, it's even less than 32 cards because pre-preparation of rights adds 2 cards from your deck to your hand. So effectively, it's even like, you know, a 29-card deck. But anyways, very consistent. So that's my reason why you can play Upstart, and it doesn't have to be playing Upstart to make it a 39-card deck, because this deck is already a 32-card deck. We already have too many Upstarts. But I like the other, you know, the OG Upstart because you just play it. This is just a spell to play. I don't even really care about the draw power. My deck has too much draw power as it is. So it wasn't like, oh, I need draw power, so I need to play Upstart. It's like, no, I want good spells, so Upstart's a good one. And then Soul Charge, because it's just clutch. This got me game. This is the reason why I was able to make it to 5th place. This was just the ultimate. And it was actually the 3rd time that I Soul Charged that game, so it's pretty ironic. And I Soul Charged for 1 both times, and then the 3rd time I Soul Charged for Herald and Norden. Used Norden to special summon Seraph, Star Seraph, I said Seraph, special summon Scepter, overlaid those, went into Lightning. It was clutch. Lightning. I said Utopia Lightning. Overlaid those, went into Daigusto Emerald, and yeah, it was clutch. Moving on with the extra deck. So yeah, that's the main deck. Really consistent. I love the list. It does like everything you need to. You can cut this. You can cut Upstart, and you can just cut. For example, like if you're looking for what to take out, if you want to cut this deck down to 40, if you don't want to run it the way I'm running it, you can even take out you don't have to run Instant Fusion at 2. You really don't. You don't have to run Upstart, and also you don't have to run these, and you don't have to run this. So you don't have to run any of these cards. So you can potentially, take out 6 cards. But these, I like these because they let me draw cards every time I see them, and they're easy side outs. So yeah. Anyways, moving on with the extra deck. So we've got Raijin. This guy's MVP. Made Instant Fusion just basically become an extra monster. So every time I draw Instant Fusion now, I don't look at it just as a spell. I look at it as free field presence, 24 wall. If he gets to live, every turn I get to negate cards with Herald of Perfection and book monsters, which potentially leads to more threatening boards. And your opponent's kind of going to be basically skeptical on who am I going to kaiju now. And then the Cheer Girl, because she's just clutch. I decided to just start including Cheer Girl with the Star Seraph package. The reason being is just because every time I go into this, I always have Instant Fusion, and I always Naturally, when I make one of these guys, I always make her next to them. It just always happen. I don't know why. And then the Utopia package, just pretty clutch. You make it's pretty easy for this deck to, you know, make a rank 6 and make a rank 4. And this combo, all you have to do is summon these 2 monsters and, you know, it's game. It's exactly 8,000. The only thing that's shutting it down is Mirror Force and a Solemn Strike to back it up, you know, to prevent Herald from negating the Mirror Force, of course. And then for the sauce, now this is what caught a lot of people off guard today. I'm running 3 Totally Awesome and 2 Bahamut Shark. When I summoned Bahamut Shark, like, this dude really asked, okay, now, can I ask you a question? I said, yeah. He said, so what are you playing? And I said, I'm playing Herald Perfection. He said, no, like, what are you playing? Like, what is this? What kind of deck is this? I said, this is Herald Perfection. He said, Cyber Angel. I said, nope, it's just Herald Perfection. It just really had a lot of people just, like, amazed and caught off guard that, you know, out of nowhere, you bring out Totally Awesome, steal something. It's crazy. My deck honestly already does negating well. This guy really is. He's a method to play around Light Imprisoning Mirror, which actually got sided into me today. So this guy actually was able. He was like such a clutch card because he was able to basically play the negate game because Herald was actually under Light Imprisoning Mirror. And when he triggered himself, it was actually a sack because I used him to add the Cloudian monster back from grave to hand. And next turn, I was able to make a rank 4 using that. So Toad was awesome. And another cool thing with that clutch interaction is if he didn't have Light Imprisoning Mirror on the field, negating my Herald's activation, then I would have been able to use Totally Awesome to negate, use Toad at this water monster from grave to hand, and he's a fairy. Then I can sack them using Herald, and potentially you make the maximum use out of Totally Awesome. He potentially becomes 2 negates in 1. Because 1 for him, then his effect replaces itself with an extra negate. So it's like double negates basically. So I like it. And it was really clutch. And it's definitely, like, if it comes up more, I'm probably just going to bump up the Cloudian count. That way I can effectively go into, you know, the Bahamut Shark combo more. Because I do like it. And I do like the idea, like I was saying, of just every turn negating with Totally Awesome and adding more fairies back to my hand. For the grind games too. Like, when they think you're down and out and they get you to no cards in hand, they're like, yes, now I can play my Soul Charge. And then, you know, you sack something, get another card back, and that Soul Charge can't be played no more. So really cool. Moving on, 2 Emeralds. So the Emerald basically is just like the MVP of the whole deck. Out of everything here, Emerald is the most important because this deck effectively goes in the grind game. Like, the second it starts, it's grind game. Herald isn't like a deck that's just focused on, like, you know, we're just trying to kill you right away. It can OTK, and it happens a lot for me. I don't know why it happens a lot with me, but I do OTK a lot with this deck, but it's not meant to. It's actually meant to just make Herald, get your opponent down to where he has no cards in hand, and just keep poking for little damage until it equals up to game. So this guy is very, very important and just basically abusive for this deck's playstyle because all it effectively does is make Herald, build your resources, draw and search, add tons and tons and tons of cards to your hand, and discard and negate as much as you possibly can. Empty your hand next turn, play Recovery, make cards like Cheer Girl, Emerald, Ritual Sanctuary, Pre-Prep, Recover, Rejuvenate, you know, re-add all those cards that you wasted, replenish your resources so you're ready for round 2 if your opponent, you know, still has cards for you to negate, of course. So yeah, it was kind of just like these two could have been, you know, 2 different generic rank 4s. Like, I wanted this to be a Castel and a Diamond Dire, which was effectively 2 different effects, which could be beneficial, but the 2 Emeralds too important. And it has to be 2 because once you make 1 Emerald, you're gonna miss it, and you can't ever, you know, get 1 Emerald back using his own effect on himself. So yeah, 2 Emerald, and that sums up the extra deck. And we're running 3 Toads because I use Toad a lot for that interaction I spoke of, where I'll use him to add Cloudian back to my hand, so I'll have a fairy for negate. So a lot of times I'll, like, you know, have 2 Toads in grave, and if I was only running 2, then that means, like, you know, basically I wouldn't be able to abuse this combo, and I would have to use Herald to put itself back. But now I can use you know, Toad, get this back to hand, then use Emerald and put the Toad back. So yeah, it's really clutch. That's my reason for running 3. And also, when the True King, the Earth dude, when he resolved his you know, the True King Dino, whatever thing is that banishes from the extra deck, he just banished all 3 of these. And although it seems like it may hurt you because you don't have any Toads, it basically does nothing to me because the only way I was ever able to go into those cards was off of this 1-up. So he effectively wasted his True King's effect, and I was able to just still go into my basic plays. So it was really cool. But yeah, tell me what you guys think of the deck. Sorry about that. We're actually going to go over the side deck. I'm getting ahead of myself. I apologize, you guys. So 3 Raw Spear mode, 3 Kaiju. This should be simple enough. I sacked so many people. Half of my games were one going first, and half of them were one going second, but also not just going second, but siding in for going second. Like, you won game one, you know for a fact they lost, they want to go first, start siding in for going second. Other victories came from stuff like this, where it's basically like, I know whatever you're making, I'm getting ready to out it and then make my own board similar to yours and pretty much prevent you from doing what you just did again. So that's why I like this, because when you think of it, the theory of it is, if you can out somebody's board, clear it, and then summon Herald of Perfection, not only do you waste all the resources that they expended to build up that board to be as formidable as it is, but also now they have to waste resources trying to get Herald off the field, all just so that they can then use more resources to try to establish somewhat of a field presence that can be durable, so that they can, live for another turn. But anyways, 2 twins, 1 Raigeki, 2 Quakings. I really, really wish, the only thing I regret was not main decking on this, which wanted to main deck the 2 Dark Hole and the Raigeki, so that I don't have, that clutch stack for going second. So that way I can also put in, 3 more Mirror Forces in my side deck. It came down to, there's nothing that I can really afford to take out that, would basically be a 50-50 exchange. Because when I take cards out to put cards in, the card that I take out, I consider what it does for me, and also the card that I'm putting in place of it, is this card going to be able to give me something like the benefit that card gives me. So, yeah. Basically, that's what it came down to. I didn't want to main deck the Dark Holes and Raigeki, because to main deck those, I would have to take out probably, like, for example, 3 of these. So I can take 3 of these for Dark Hole Raigeki, and Dark Hole Raigeki are going to be clutch going second, whereas this effectively is Dark Hole, it is Raigeki, it is Quaking, it's any other card. So yeah, that's what it came down to. Basically, if I draw it, is it going to be live at all times? And Dark Hole and Raigeki, you draw them, they're only going to be live if your opponent has already, established his field, and of course, if you went second. So yeah, that's what it came down to, and thank you guys so much for watching. And again, your boy 3 Stacks got 5th place, and surprising enough, I have not failed to top. I'll say it like that. I've never failed to top with this deck. Every time I take my Herald of Perfection, I failed to top with other decks. I admit that. I'm not gonna lie. I didn't make my top cut with my Invoke Zodiac build. I failed with other decks, but every time I take my Heralds, I never failed to make the bare minimum top 8, which is my minimum. Yeah. So thank you guys so much for watching. Y'all be safe. Take good care of your kids, your brain cells. Make good choices. Y'all gonna be hearing from me soon, and we're trying to get collaborated with a couple other teams in Houston. So y'all stay tuned. We got a bright future ahead of us, and you guys, I hope you guys are as excited as I am, because this channel is going to be going into just we're going to take the channel to an extreme whole new level. So the way it is now, the way the channel is now and how it's been in the past, you're going to look at that like chicken scratch compared to how the channel is going to be. You're going to be like, wow, like the way the channel is now, it kind of makes the way the channel looked in the past look bad. So yeah, anyways, I appreciate you guys so much. You guys rock, and tell me what you guys think of the deck. Again, it was crazy, and we only lost 1 time, and the reason why we lost was, again, honestly, it was my fault. I was playing a bit too conservative because I was scared of what my opponent was playing. So I kind of lost to myself, because there was a couple plays where I wasn't fully committed. So it's kind of like when you make a play and you're not 100% sure as to why you should make it, you're kind of screwing yourself over, because the resources that you're wasting to make a play that you're not so sure of, you could have used those on a play where you're like, you know what, this is the one. I know this is what I'm trying to go for. And so that's what happened to me. I ended up making a play that I thought was the best choice. It wasn't what I wanted, but I was like, I felt like, because of the deck that I'm playing against, this is going to be the best form of protection. So he had me on my hind heels the whole time, and that was his advantage over me. Was the whole time I was dueling him, I was scared. But yeah, anyways, we'll be hearing from you guys soon. Y'all be safe. Peace out.